Georgia lawyers Bob and Irreverent D talk law. Listen up for stories about how things really happen in our legal system. Who are these guys? Dwayne Singleton, Irreverent D, is a criminal defense attorney in the state of Georgia. Benjamin O. Benson, a.k.a. Bob, is a personal injury attorney in Atlanta. On today's episode, we get a little peek behind the scenes.
I saw dolphins in Dolphin Island.
Did you?
And I was like, some redneck must have not known how to spell dolphin.
It's Dolphin Island.
It's Dolphin.
Dolphin.
And I was like, some redneck didn't know how to spell dolphin. And I'm telling him this whole thing. And he's like, it's actually the son of a French king.
Nothing to do with dolphins.
I was like, well, look who looks like the redneck now.
No, it does have something to do with dolphins. That's the French for dolphin.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that was the.
Well, there you go!
Oh, yeah, Mr. Smarty Pants.
Sorry.
Anybody else want water?
It was no, if you guys still, it was like the sigil of the royal family, so they called him the Dauphin. Yeah.
Look at there. Learn something new every day.
Now, sit back and take a listen as Bob and Irreverent D talk law.
This will change your life. There are only 5 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay?
All right.
There's no 2.5.
This whole time I thought we were on a 10 scale.
No,
Oh,
we're not on a
okay.
10 scale.
So that's
there
why I
are
keep getting
only
stuck
5
doing
numbers.
everything.
There are only 5 numbers. This is why you keep getting stuck doing stuff.
I've been reading it wrong the whole time.
All right. Now, here's what I mean by the numbers. You have to have a number for everything. Okay? For everything that you are considering doing, or you want other people to consider doing, you have to have a number. Okay? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
So Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday, perfect example. Taco Tuesday.
5.
How do you feel about Taco Tuesday? 5 means
Gonna happen.
I am doing it. I don't care if you guys are
With or
in
without
or
you, I
out.
need a
I
taco.
don't care. I am having tacos.
Yeah.
4 means I really want tacos. But if you guys, who I know and love, and whose opinion I care about, don't want tacos, yeah, maybe I won't have tacos.
This is some butter chicken at the Indian
Might could. We might could have pho instead, right?
I could be persuaded.
3 is like, yeah, I could go either way. 2 is I'd rather not have tacos. But if you two, who I love and whose opinion I value and cherish, right? You guys want tacos, I might go along.
I'll go miserable.
Might.
Just to be
I might
with
go.
you guys.
I might go along. 1 is I am not doing tacos. I don't care about tacos. Do not talk about tacos in my presence. I don't care what you guys think. Okay? So here's the question: do you want to do this episode with us about church disaffiliation? What's your number?
5, man. Let's do it.
All right, he's in.
Yeah,
He's a
do it.
5. Dwayne, what's your number?
Religion. All right,
Religion.
here we go. Let's do it.
All right, so you're like a 2. I can feel the 2.
I'm a 3.
You're not going to do it, but I will persuade you because you love me.
I'm there. Yeah,
Okay, all
I'm
right,
with
okay.
You need to hang those numbers up like here.
I'm telling you.
explain
Let me
it.
just before we leave this subject matter about the numbers. Think about how much marital harmony you can gather, right? Honey, would you like to have Arby's for dinner?
3?
Okay. I'm a 4. We're having Arby's, right?
Ah.
You see,
Okay.
you compare your number
You do
with
this
the
at
other
home,
person
too? I thought this was
all
just a work.
the
Yeah.
time. No, all the time.
God bless
You know, we were
Denise.
supposed to go. we were supposed to go.
Babe, sex, 1-5. Where we at?
1.
I'm just saying,
A
like
solid 1, dude.
you. I'm telling you, it will reduce the number of awkward conversations that you have about things because you know in every thing that you're thinking about doing with another person, whether it's sex or having lunch with
It's
a
on
person.
a scale. It's not
It's
I wanna
always
do
a-
it 100% or not. Yeah.
You're always taking
I
into
agree.
account what the other person wants to, but not always at the same amount.
Genius.
I'm just saying.
We should sell a podcast or sell a
We should
course.
talk about this on a podcast.
Yeah, some
Yeah,
kind
I
of
think so.
marital
All right.
happiness course.
So,
Subscribe down below.
all right. So, welcome to the Bob and Irreverent D Talk Law podcast.
10 other things.
It is completely coincidental that we're all wearing the same jackets as the last episode. Please make sure that you like our podcast, that you subscribe to our podcast, and that you do a Google search for Bob and Irreverent D Talk Law. Irreverent can be a little bit tricky to spell, but you'll see it on the bottom here. So make
Google
sure that
will
you
autofill it for you, though.
Google will the Chat GPT.
There you go.
They will get it. So in today's episode, we are talking about Gerald, the religious lawyer.
Okay.
We are talking about the First United Methodist Church and what is called church disaffiliation. This is all in the news in Cobb County, and it is all over Georgia right now. We're also going to talk about gay rights. We're not. We're not touching that. We're not touching any of that stuff.
I'm cool with it.
But those are the two things that we're going to be covering: Gerald, the ecclesiastical lawyer, and disaffiliation in Georgia. So, welcome to our episode, and let's get straight into the news.
And now, the news.
Can I get some water?
Yes, you can.
Good job.
Thanks.
We did good?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess now, not the news?
That's why a lot of stuff they'll say, like, you can't just pay that. You got to go to court. It's because they want to give you the opportunity to, like, not screw yourself.
Oh.
You know, like, young kids will come in there and like, I want to pay this ticket for going 102 and a 45. Yeah, that's going to suspend your license till you're 21. Right? You know? So,
Dang. All right.
you know, you got to know where you're at. And so a lot of times the prosecutors will talk to them where you really don't want to plead guilty right now. Why don't we have a conference in just a second?
No,
explain.
Let's just talk about that.
Looks like story time.
I was in, speaking of federal court, I was handling a case for a client in the Northern District. And I was actually the defendant. It's another declaratory judgment case. I was the defendant.
So they sued you?
Sued me, yeah.
The insurance company sued you?
The insurance company sued me, sued my client, and they sued my client's contractor, because what had happened is my client retained a contractor to do some work in his house, and the contractor nailed in a piece of siding to his house incorrectly and caused the whole house to catch on fire. Whole thing burns to the ground.
Wait, hang on. The contractor nailed in the siding and it caused the house to catch fire?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you know how you've got the little electric meter on the outside of your house?
Oh, like a little okay. Now I'm starting to see this.
That's actually your main. That's like your main electrical trunk, right? So he's out there on the side of the house, nail. They hit the gun in the wrong place, and because the meter's got like a big cable that comes off,
right.
And he hits it. It's metal, sparks the thing. It's in the attic. So and it's on the other side of the wall.
It's like a tinderbox.
Yeah, the whole thing goes whoosh, goes up in flames. Luckily, my client's not hurt, but all of their stuff, their home burned to the ground.
So the amount of controversy is probably in excess of $75,000.
The amount of controversy was over $75,000.
Okay. So you said insurance company, you need to pay.
Well, so here's
being bad.
Here's the interesting part.
It's not our fault. Somebody else caused the fire.
So his homeowners paid out,
okay.
But his homeowners paid out. But they don't always cover everything that's damaged in the fire, right? Like for example, here's a good one.
So your client's Jim.
Yeah, client's
He's
Jim.
got ABC Insurance Company. He files a claim with
ABC, and they pay him. Okay,
for the losses.
They pay him for part of his losses, but he says to me, I want to sue the contractor because I didn't get paid for everything that happened in the fire, and the contractor's the one that caused the fire, so I want to go and sue the contractor.
Can you do that?
You can do that.
You can recover from both of them?
Well, here's the trick. So
Tell us the trick.
The insurance policy, his homeowner's insurance policy says that we have the right to subrogation, right? Mm-hmm, so the insurance company can step into your shoes and they could go sue the contractor and get their money back that they already paid for.
Does that get triggered as soon as he files a claim?
That gets triggered when when ABC Insurance Company pays him. So when ABC strokes him that check for $400,000 or whatever, and he cashes it, now they can go sue the contractor.
This happens all the time with my clients with property damage in their car. Right, because I can tell my client, look, why wait for the other insurance company to call you and then jerk you around about your car? You could just use your own auto insurance company,
Right.
and they'll go after the other insurance company.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So then he calls me, and I said, well, look, they've got
Jim.
a right. Jim calls me.
Okay.
They've got a right to get this money paid back. So before we do anything, ask them if they're going to do it, if they're going to proceed against the contractor. Because if they are, we'll ride second chair, and if they aren't, we'll do it ourselves. And so he contacts them, and they say, yeah, we don't want to bother. It's too hard. And I said, okay. So then
We got the green light.
we got the green light. So
Okay.
we sue the contractor in state court, right? Because he's a Georgia defendant.
Right.
Well, then his insurance, because he has an insurance policy to cover his work. He's got a general liability policy.
The contractor.
The contractor.
Not Jim anymore.
Correct.
Okay.
The contractor has a general liability policy. So
Gotcha.
I sue the contractor. The general liability policy then turns around and sues me and the contractor in federal court. Drags us into federal court, and the insurance company says, we don't owe to indemnify the contractor or to defend him because we think there's an exclusion in his insurance policy, and so we don't have to pay for it. And that's what we're fighting right now in federal court.
So how is that going to get decided? Whether there's an exclusion for coverage. This is a coverage issue.
It's a coverage issue, and the
Okay.
judge is going to decide it. So this is going
Why
to be...
can't he have a jury trial?
Well, because the insurance company has said, look, this is a matter of contract interpretation. The contract is very clear. This, and this is not covered. This, and this happened. So, Judge, we want you to decide straight up that we don't owe any money for this insurance policy. And so that's where we are right now, is we're still in that discovery phase before we get to asking the judge to formally decide who does or doesn't owe, right?
So all the judge is really going to do is determine whether there's coverage or not, and then what happens? Is that right? Or you have to try the whole thing?
No, if he determines that there's coverage under the insurance policy, then we go back to state court to see if there's still liability for the contractor, right?
I get it. Okay.
So and then importantly for the contractor, his insurance company will hire lawyers to help defend the case in state court, because right now
there's no defense at all.
There's no defense. They
it-
put it on hold. They put our state court action on hold while they decide if there's coverage or not.
So we
and-
call that a deck action.
That's right.
Right? Declaratory judgment. So essentially, all they want the federal court judge to do is decide, is there coverage or no?
Right.
And once the federal court judge decides that, then the deck action is disposed of. It's gone.
Right.
Okay.
If the judge says there's no coverage, the
Then
insurance
it's gone.
company says thank you very much,
We're gone.
and they'll be like, hey, you can sue if you want, but then it goes back to, you remember how you were saying it's really hard to sue people?
Okay, yeah.
Then we're suddenly suing somebody who doesn't have any insurance company.
Yeah,
Right.
the most accurate way of saying it is this. It is really hard to get money from insurance companies. We do it every day.
Right.
But it's infinitely easier to get money from insurance companies
Yes, it
than
is.
it is to get from people.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Right?
Well, yeah, it's like in a criminal case. They're like, and the fine on that is going to be $1 million.
Right.
You're never getting $1 million.
You turn into your client saying, okay,
Congratulations.
you have to pay $1 million. You're going to pay me first. But
Yeah, that's right. So, but I got started on this because the insurance company, since they sued the contractor, he had to hire his own lawyer. And so this lawyer was in federal court, and he was way over his head.
he doesn't know.
And he doesn't know what he's doing, and the judge was not very happy.
But that's really,
Fighting against their own insured.
Correct.
right.
Normally, who will become their client
Right.
if
If
they lose
if they
the deck
lose,
action.
if they lose, then they're gonna be like, "Hey, no hard feelings, man. Sorry,
No hard feelings.
Sorry about that, bro."
How
You
is
know?
that not an ethical conflict?
I don't know. Honestly, that's a good point. I've never done that side of the work before, but I mean,
Because
Can we talk about that?
I'll tell you what it is. They have different lawyers handling the federal court
So we just
action.
throw it to another law firm.
Exactly. Then the one that so the
We're
guys
just the
that
pocket.
right the guys
Yeah.
that appeared in state court is an entirely different firm than the guys that are in federal
Yeah,
court.
but even if it wasn't, Dwayne, you have that come up all the time, right? Like
All
the
the
ethical questions about who's paying and who's giving orders.
Yeah, see, now you're making me think. I need to.
Yeah. I always leave one of the. I always
know-
leave one of these podcasts thinking, "Oh, I need to try that."
Yeah, because
I
we'll
thought
have
about
grandma
that.
come in and hire for Jim or whatever. He's in jail.
His name is Jim.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jim's in trouble,
And
boy.
Jim's in a lot of trouble, and grandma pays 20 grand or whatever, and now she thinks she's the client, and Jim says, "Stop talking to that crazy woman. I hate her. Appreciate her paying for me, but don't talk to her anymore. I want you to talk just to my girlfriend."
Oh boy.
Right now, you got to tell grandma, "Hey, we can't talk to you anymore about the case because
What are you
we've been
talking about? I
instructed
paid.
not to."
I paid you. I am the customer.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and then.
So what
as-
happened?
You don't talk to grandma anymore. That's it.
You
And she
can't.
stops paying?
Well, I mean, yeah,
If she's on a payment plan, she'll probably stop paying.
Oh.
Yeah.
yeah, so
In
girlfriend
those
better
circumstances,
figure out
maybe
where
a
to come
payment
up
plan
with
not a good idea.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I want to tell you about my friend Gerald. Gerald is this. You have those people in your life that they always talk about how they heard from God, or they're praying about it or whatever. And Gerald is this like pious, religious guy, lawyer, and he was working for my former partner Rusty. And Rusty had given him an assignment. Okay, listen, I want you to prepare the closing statement for this case. It's not that not that big, and so we're trying this case next week. So Rusty talks to Gerald the end of this week, trials next week, and he says, Gerald, are you ready? Do you have the closing statement written? Gerald says, well, I'm praying about it, and I'm really waiting to hear God's voice about it.
Okay.
And so Rusty says, okay, all right. He does opening statements. They pick a jury on Monday. Rusty does the opening statements. He looks over at Gerald after his opening statements. He says, "Did you take notes for your closing arguments?" Gerald says, "Yes." He says, "Well, are you ready? Are you prepared for your closing arguments? I understand it's not going to be for another couple days." Gerald says, "Well, I'm praying about it. I'm waiting to hear from God.
Okay.
For inspiration." Right? Rusty's like, "Okay, all right." They get through 3 days of witnesses. Get ready for closing arguments, and Rusty finally goes over to Gerald and says, "Look, Gerald, love you, but I really hope you're ready. Have you heard from God yet?" Gerald says, "Yeah, I did." They're whispering to each other at this point because it's almost his time to stand up. And he says, "Yeah, I did." He says, "Well, what did he say?" Gerald says, "God told me, Gerald, you're not prepared." That's an old joke from my dad's a Lutheran pastor. I must have heard that joke 15 times. Gerald, you're not prepared. So
I thought this was a real
You thought this was a real story, yeah.
I'm like, are we about to defame this guy?
Gerald,
Like,
Gerald,
it's not in the paper.
God
What
spoke to me. He said, "Gerald, you're not prepared." All right, so the news item that we're finally getting to
And now, the news.
is about disaffiliation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've chose this news item because it's really difficult for me to get my brain wrapped around why is the court in Cobb County making a decision about whether this church, this United Methodist Church in Carrollton, Georgia, can split off from the United Methodist Conference. And so to give you some background about this, I happen to be steeped in church politics, having grown up in the church. What happens is that you have the conference of any kind of church, this kind of superstructure, and then essentially, I mean, they don't really like to call it a franchise. But each little church is kind of a franchise.
All right, Irreverent Bob.
Yeah, right.
Maybe I have the wrong
Yeah,
mother.
you need to put a disclaimer at the bottom of this one.
So when these churches join the great mothership United Methodist Conference or the great mothership Evangelical Lutheran Church of America, whatever it is, right? What they do is they sign this it's almost like a franchise agreement where they're part of this conference. They there's all this branding and all that kind of stuff, and they're connected.
Well, and Methodist churches are different than like Southern Baptist churches.
Right.
Whereas they're definitely more connected. All the Methodist churches are. You'll see a little Methodist church with like 4 members, and they send a pastor down there every other month to preach, to keep this
He's like on a circuit.
to keep
right.
this little church going, which, it's not just that he only preaches at that one place. They're actually part of the United Methodist
That's right.
Church, right? Yeah.
Right. Their support.
Right.
Yeah. So and they're in fact over here in East Cobb County, over the past 5 years, there's just been this uproar between a mega Methodist church and the church conference. And the biggest point of contention is really about gay rights and about whether the church is going to embrace the homosexuals in their clergy or not.
Right.
And so and so there's this fighting that's going on, and it's been going on for 20 years, and it's just coming into the fore now. So there are dozens of Methodist churches that are wanting to pull out of the conference and disaffiliate themselves with the conference because of this kind of change in doctrine. And they don't get to control the doctrine that's coming down from the conference, and so they say, we don't want to have anything to do with this conference anymore. And so their contract with the conference is what controls whether they can pull out or not.
So we want out, and they're like,
You can't go.
You can't go. Right?
Essentially,
This is our place, our building, our land, our parishioners.
it's the land,
McDonald's.
right?
McDonald's.
It's the
Not selling
land.
hamburgers. We're
Oh,
Right.
right. Oh, I saw that. That's
The reason that the courts are involved is because the land.
right.
Remember how we were talking in a previous episode about Superior Court, right? The Superior Court makes decisions about land. And so if this United Methodist Church just wanted to leave, it would be super easy. All of the parishioners in the church would walk out the door. They would form a new church called,
Church of Happy Sunshine.
Church of Happy Sunshine, not United Methodist, right?
I always
Methodist.
thought it'd be great to do like a big smiley face on the door.
With a rainbow.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Happy Fun Church.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they could just all leave, right? They could all form a new church. They would just have to find some other place to be,
sure.
right? No problem there.
But they want to take the building with them.
But they want to take the building
Okay.
and all of the property, and that's where it becomes a matter of the court having to interpret their own contract with each other.
Which is what, 300 years old?
I don't think
Written
so.
on
I don't think so. The what they call the discipline is a document that has been updated over the years.
Okay.
I'm sure it has roughly similar to the terms of use,
Right.
maybe that your Visa card has. Here are the new terms of use, right? If you want to stay part of the United Methodist Church, this is the new version of the discipline this year.
Who are the parties, though?
So the parties are in this particular case, it's the Carrollton First United Methodist Church. Yes. The Carrollton First United Methodist Church is the plaintiff, and the United Methodist Conference is the defendant.
Okay.
And the defendant is saying, you can't leave and take this property. And the Methodist Church is saying, but they're according to the contract,
We're right in downtown Carrollton. We're right across from the First Baptist Church. We need to be here.
we need to be here,
Huh.
and I'm sure the United Methodist Conference, the conference is saying, the regional conference is saying, no, you have to be the second Carrollton Methodist Church, right?
Well, it could be United Methodist because they would still have to be part of the conference, right? They would have
That's
to be
right.
an independent.
They cannot be part of the UMC,
Right.
right? So they would have to be called the Carrollton Second Methodist Church or something. I don't know.
Right.
Whatever the case. But the discipline, the contract actually has a method for disassociating, for disaffiliating. If you don't want to be part of the conference anymore, there is a part of the contract that tells you how you can be not part of the conference anymore, right? And so that Dave take us through that part. Like, why is the contract in your case is so important?
Because it's the only document that governs the relationship between the parties, and the parties, theoretically, in an insurance contract, are free to negotiate and contract with each other to say whatever they want to say.
All right, so I have clients all the time who are like, I have one right now that I think is going to become something like a deck action about uninsured motorist coverage, okay? And my client is saying, well, they're interpreting that I don't have coverage. That's not fair. Can't the judge just say that's not fair?
Oh, yeah. No.
Right.
Do you hear this?
All the time.
But
Well, I mean, people don't realize, and if we're talking in the insurance context, right?
Or
People-
contracts. Yeah.
People don't realize that the boilerplate, as people like to call it, is really the only thing that matters in a contract dispute, right? It's
The words are the words.
The words are the most important part. People talk about boilerplate like, oh, that's just the boilerplate. We don't need to worry about that. It's the only thing that matters in a contract dispute. So
You and I tried a case about boilerplate language. We didn't try it, but we had that case together, where the language in the contract was everything.
yeah,
It was absolutely everything.
that's how it always is. I mean, my cases, just like this contract case with the Methodists, the conference and the local church, they probably had much more say about what the contract actually said, because when you go buy an insurance contract, they're like, here you go, and you don't have any input into that.
Right.
But these guys probably did, and so they probably helped shape it so that each side tried to negotiate to get what they want. But at the end of the day, the judge usually is the one who decides what the contract says, because
means.
interpreting the contract is the judge's job.
Yeah.
Right.
So the key thing in here I found this to be fascinating, but we're all lawyers here and we kind of nerd out about like nerdy things. This was really fascinating because in this what they call the discipline, that's the contract between the conference and the churches. There's this provision that says, well, in order for you to disaffiliate, to unattach yourself, there has to be a meeting at the conference level.
Oh.
What's the problem with that?
They've got to get everybody together, right?
Right. The conference they have to call a meeting.
Yeah.
Right. So that's essentially what this case is about, is the individual Methodist church saying, look, court, there is a method for us to pull out. But the problem is that the defendant is in control of the
We
method.
got to have a meeting. We got to have a vote, and they won't let us have the meeting.
Exactly.
vote.
They won't call the meeting.
This is my ball. We're not playing ball anymore. I'm going
Right.
home.
Yeah.
So you're right that probably the churches had something to do with the writing of it, but it sounds like maybe they didn't anticipate.
Yeah, they weren't thinking that one all the way through.
didn't anticipate there being like this animosity.
Yeah.
Right. From
This huge divide between the congregation and the leadership of
Yeah.
the organization.
Right. Yeah, right. Exactly. In fact, the end of the decision says they need to have their ability to amicably part. Right. But there's nothing amicable about this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge.
First
and it's
Baptist
ugly.
Church, Carrollton's a great church. It's right across the road.
All right. Well, this episode brought to you by the law office of Dwayne Singleton. Dwayne, tell us where our viewers can find you.
So if you find yourself in a pickle south of Atlanta, we're down in Griffin, Georgia. So you can.
You say
IRS.
down in Griffin, Georgia, like it's really far, but it's really not.
It's not. No, we're an hour. But once you hit Atlanta traffic, it seems far.
Yeah, it does.
Once you get to that Bermuda Triangle,
Right.
otherwise known as the Jonesboro Triangle, where like
Once you
people
get past
forget
Eagles
how to
Landing,
drive.
You know, you're
Yeah.
you're clear to make it.
Yeah. Right.
But-
Exactly. Once you get
But yeah, we
past it.
handle criminal defense, personal injury, and domestic cases.
All right. And
General
David.
litigation.
And David, tell us how our watchers, viewers, listeners can find you.
Well, I'm in Sandy Springs, so not nearly as far as Griffin, but if you go to Boohacker Law Firm, BOOHAKER, lawfirm.com. That's where my web address is, and we do insurance work, sue insurance companies.
You sue insurance company.
Yeah.
I'm Ben Benson of the Bob Law Firm, and if you're injured, I handle your business. You can find us at the Bob Law Firm. Our office is right next to the Brave Stadium, where we can watch if you stand up really tall and you lean over just a little bit and you get on your tiptoes, you can see the first base.
Really?
Base. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. True story. Thank you for
In my office, you look across the street, you'll see Rose's Shopping Center.
Rose's Shopping Center. And if you crane your neck around, you can see the little airport.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah. Very good. Thank you all for joining us. Make sure that you hit like and that you subscribe and you search for us on the Google. Bob and Irreverent D Talk Law.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next time when Bob and Irreverent D talk law.